Barak Yahuwah, Barak Yahuwah. So for those who will be listening to this message on YouTube later on, we say Shabbat Shalom to you. Shabbat Shalom to the elder Ak, Yahudah. Shabbat Shalom to the younger Ak, Ephraim. Shalom to the stranger. Shalom to the former stranger. To the former Ger, the former Goyim, who is a Shabbat Shalom, I should say, to the former Ger, the former Goyim, the former Gentile, who is no longer a stranger, because having been engrafted into the Bayif, the house of Yasha'al, through Hanatsah, through the branch, who is Yahusha HaMashiach, through the receiving of his Ruach HaKadosh, and whereby now no longer being a stranger, but being adopted into the family of Yahuwah, and whereby now becoming a fellow citizen and a fellow partaker of the very same covenant, everlasting covenant, and promise and inheritance that was given to Yasha'al and to Yasha'al alone. And so I say to you worldwide, to the whole house, the whole Ba'if of Yasha'al on this Yom, Shabbat Shalom to you, wherever your feet touch the soil on this Yom. Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom. And so Ms. Parker, continuing this message, searching for the ancient path. Searching for the ancient path. This will be part 4. If you're taking notes, the title of this teaching is Searching for the Ancient Path, Part 4, Abraham. Searching for the Ancient Path, Part 4, Abraham. And so we began this teaching, Abba began this message last Shabbat, establishing there what is the ancient path. And if you're listening via YouTube, we're here now at part 4, and if you haven't listened to part 1, part 2, and part 3, stop this video right now and go back and listen to part 1, part 2, and part 3, because you're going to be a little lost. You've got to start back at the very beginning, at the Barashit. Indeed, everything begins in the beginning. But last Shabbat, he began speaking to us about the ancient path and establishing there what exactly is the ancient path. And in that teaching, he showed us that it is the Torah that is the ancient path, that he is the ancient path because he is the living Torah. Indeed, it is written, in the beginning was the Torah. I know it says word, but he's talking about the Torah. The word is Torah. In the beginning was the Torah, and the Torah was with Alahym, and the Torah was Alahym. Everything that came to be through him. Indeed, everything that came to be through the Torah, through the spoken word, Everything came into existence through the Torah, Yes, it did. Everything came to be into existence through the Torah, The Torah is life. In Torah, there is life. In the ancient path, there is life. Indeed, this is the path that leads to everlasting life. This is the narrow path. This is the ancient path that leads to life, that leads to rest for our nefesh. This is the ancient path. Indeed, Torah is the ancient path. And so that was established in the first 2 parts, last Shabbat. And then this past 4th day, Abba spoke part 3. Now that the ancient path has been established and we know what the ancient path is, then he began to teach us what walking the ancient path looks like through the example of our righteous fathers. And last 4th day, he began to show us and speak to us through the example of Methuselah and Noah. He began to show us what it looks like to walk the ancient path through the example of Methuselah and Noah. Now, I'm not going to go over what we spoke about. It's on video. That's part 3. If you haven't watched part 1, part 2, and part 3, for those on YouTube, and we'll see this later on, stop this video right now and go back and watch those. This Shabbat, Barak Yahuwah, he wants to show us now what walking the ancient path looks like from the perspective of Abraham. He wants to show us what it looks like by the example of our righteous father, Abraham. Now, as I spoke earlier, there is so much to say about Abraham. There is so much that we can learn from our righteous father, Abraham, with respect to how to walk the ancient path. And because there is so much to learn, we're probably not going to finish this today. There's probably going to be a part 5 on the 4th day to finish it up. I pray that Abba allows us to finish this up, but just in case it begins to go a little long, we may end up finishing this on the 4th day. And so I'm going to start this one, part 4, in the same manner in which part 1 and part 2 was started. In the same manner in which part 1 and part 2 was started, in that I'm going to read some text, some scriptures that were read in part 1 and part 2, just to open up a segue for this teaching. Just to open up a segue to this teaching. So I'm going to begin reading in 1 Peter, excuse me, 1 Peter chapter 2, verses 1 through 3. 1 Peter chapter 2, verses 1 through 3. It begins in 1 Peter chapter 2, beginning at verse 1. It reads, "Having put aside then all evil, all Torahlessness, and all deceit, and hypocrisies, and envyings, and all evil words, and all evil words." Indeed, if we're not speaking Torah, then we're speaking falsehood. Then we're speaking falsehood. If we're not speaking Torah, mute your mics, Mishpaka. If we're not speaking Torah, then we're speaking falsehood. Torah is the only truth. Everything else is falsehood. So it reads here, "in all evil words, as newborn babes, desire the pure, unadulterated milk of Torah. This is how we are sustained. This is our life-giving milk that sustains us and that gives us life. If we drink of it, we will live. Indeed, this is how newborn babes are sustained, by milk. Now, if indeed you have been reborn, I am under no illusion that everybody's been reborn. Some have not been reborn of the Ruach yet. But if indeed we are reborn, then we have been given another chance. We have been given another chance. We are now newborn babes. Newborn babes, reborn in the image of YAHUAH'S via Ruach. And we have been given a new chance, a new opportunity. Old things have passed away. Behold, all things have become new. Our ancient fathers forfeited the opportunity to walk the ancient path. But in these last days, when he's pouring out his Ruach upon all flesh, and he is making us brand new, newborn babes, being renewed, he is giving us an opportunity now to sup and to drink upon the life-giving milk of the Torah, which is the ancient path, and walk the ancient path. And if we do this, then guess what? He is going to throw all of our crimes, all of our past crimes, into the sea of forgetfulness, never to be remembered no more. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. And so if you are reborn as newborn babes, as newborn babes, not those who are puffed up with knowledge, not those who are looking for the deep things and looking for a platform so that they can receive the praises of men, but a meek and humble and lowly babe, dependent on the life-giving milk of his mother, dependent upon his parents for everything, dependent upon them for everything, for his raiment, for his clothing, for his food, for his protection, for his shelter, dependent upon them for everything. If we are not like newborn babes in this way, drinking upon this life-sustaining milk of the Torah, not puffed up, walking the ancient path in simplicity of thought, in simplicity of heart, not in puffed upness, but in meekness and humility like a little lamb. Like a little lamb. If we're not operating in this way, we're not going to enter into life. There is only one way, one path that enters into life, and that is the ancient path. That is Torah. Indeed, Yahushua declares, I am the way and the truth and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. In the first week, in the first teaching, it was shown to us that Yahushua is the living Torah. He is the living word. And the Torah became flesh in him. The Torah became flesh in him. And so Torah, only in the milk, the pure unadulterated milk of Torah, walking as babes, walking the ancient path, drinking the pure unadulterated milk of Torah, only in this are we going to be sustained. Only in this will we live. Where we live. So I'm going to read this again. Having put aside then all evil and all deceit and all hypocrisies and envyings and all evil words, and as newborn babes, desire the unadulterated milk of Torah, in order that you grow by it. In order that you grow by it, if indeed you have tasted that the Master is good. James, the first chapter, Yaqub, the first chapter, verses 21 through 25. We read this last week, but I'm being led to read it again. Yaqub, the first chapter, James, the first chapter, verses 21 through 25, beginning at verse 21. Therefore put away all filthiness, put away all Torahlessness, and overflow of evil, and receive with meekness, the implanted Torah, which is able to save your lives. Not the deep things, not digging for the deep things, not looking for the esoteric, not always looking for the sud, the mystery or the hidden thing of the text, but merely feeding on the life-giving milk with meekness as a newborn babe, receiving the implanted Torah, which is able to save our lives. And become doers of the word. And become doers of it. Many are looking for the deep things, and are not even obeying the simple things. Indeed, he spoke to us last week that the deep things are revealed in the simple things. Yes, they are. The deep things are revealed in the simple things. But they're looking for the deep things, and they're far from the ancient path that leads to life. Far from the ancient path that leads to life. Far from it. Far from it. Only in the ancient path will we find life. Only in the ancient path will we find life. And become doers of the word. And become doers of the word. Indeed, I was going to show us an example of this, I pray, next week when he speaks through me about Yom Kippur, or the Day of Atonement. He's going to show us how we are to obey the pure, unadulterated milk of the word. The milk of the word. This is what we're called to obey and called to suck upon. Not looking for the deep thing. And this is what will save our lives. And become doers of the word and not hearers only, deceiving yourselves. Because if any is a hearer of the Torah, let's let's call it out for what it is, because the word is Torah. Because if anyone is a hearer of the Torah and not a doer, he is like a man who looks at his natural face in a mirror. For he looks at himself and goes away and immediately forgets what he was like. But he that looketh into the perfect Torah, that of freedom, and continues in it, this alludes to a walking, a continuation, a going along with. This alludes to a walking, the ancient path, and continues in it, not becoming a hearer that forgets, someone who is not walking, who is stagnant, who is complacent. Not becoming a hearer that forgets, but a doer of work. This denotes action. This denotes walking out and working out our own deliverance, our own Yeshua, with reverence and trembling, walking the ancient path. But a doer of work, this one shall be Baruch in his doing of the Torah. In his doing of the Torah. Indeed, Abba mentioned to us last week, Yahuwah mentioned to us last week, that nearly all in this season are looking for the deep things. Indeed, Daniel spoke about this season, spoke about the latter times when knowledge would increase. And knowledge has increased. It has increased so much that knowledge has become the mighty one of many. Many are pursuing knowledge over Yahuwah. Knowledge is their mighty one. Yahuwah is not their mighty one. Knowledge is. And in fact, not only is knowledge their mighty ones, but they're their own mighty one. Because through the gaining of knowledge with many, not all, but indeed, there is only a remnant. There is only a remnant that he's dealing with in this season. There's only a remnant that he's dealing with in this season. So the majority of these people who are searching for this knowledge are doing so amiss. They are puffed up. They are prideful. Knowledge is their mighty one. They are their own mighty one, because they are seeking the esteem of men. They are seeking the esteem and the praises and the applaud of men through their platforms, through their learning of their knowledge. They want the esteem. And many of them are just like their father, the devil. Because as it reads in Ezekiel, the 28th chapter, Hashatan was convicted of what? He was convicted of illegal trafficking. Yes, he was. Instead of directing the traffic of praise to Yahuwah, he accepted it for himself. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. And these people, being like their father, being ate up with knowledge being their mighty one, themselves being their mighty ones, wanting the praises of men, looking for these deep things, are just like their father. Just like their father. So many are looking for deep things in this season, not understanding that the deep things are revealed in the simple things, and that there is only one path that leads to life, and that is the ancient path of Torah. That is drinking and sucking upon the pure, unadulterated milk of Torah as newborn babes. As newborn babes. And if we do so, we will walk this ancient path and we will enter into life. As spoken last week, again, that what most don't understand, that the deep things are found in the simple things, and that the pure milk of the Torah is where the deep things lie, in the pure, unadulterated milk of the Torah. Indeed, he wants us to be childlike and just simply drink of the life-giving milk, of the life-giving milk. Let's look at Matthew, Matat Yahu, the 11th chapter, verses 25 and 26. We read these last week, but we have to lay this foundation again. We have to lay this foundation again. Many on YouTube, if the teaching is not about something deep, they'll simply stop the video because it's not deep enough for them. It's not deep enough for them, and simply go somewhere else. Yahuwah's will be done. Yahuwah's will be done. I'm just a simple servant, not a scholar, I'm not a scholar. I'm not a learned one. I'm just a simple servant whom he speaks through. I'm nothing more. I'm nothing more. I'm just this servant. I'm just this humble, lowly servant whom he speaks to, whom he speaks through. Everything I know, he teaches me. I know nothing of my own. I know nothing of my own. And if it's not deep enough for them, so be it. It wasn't for them. It wasn't for them. These words that he speaks through his servants are for the ears of a remnant. Are for the ears of a remnant, to those who have ears to hear and eyes to see. Barak Yahuwah. At that time when Yahusha responding said, I thank you, Father, Master of the Shamayim and earth, because you have hidden these matters from the clever and the learned ones, and have revealed them to babes. Yes, Father, because so it was well pleasing in your sight. Indeed, these are the ones, the meek, the babe, the childlike. These are the ones that he reveals the deep things to. Those who are just merely content, just like a newborn babe with a nice warm bottle is so content he or she doesn't know what to do with themselves. Give them a nice warm bottle when they're hungry. A newborn babe, they'll be so content they don't know what to do with themselves. And as soon as that bottle slips out of their mouth, they become discontented. Soon as that bottle slips out of their mouth, you're going to understand, you're going to know that bottle has slipped from their mouths. But as long as that nice warm bottle is in their mouths and they're sucking on that life-giving milk, there's nothing else that matters to them in the world. There's nothing else that matters to them in the world. And this is how Yahuwah wants us to drink on that nice warm bottle. Just being content with that life-giving milk to where nothing else matters to us in this world. Barak Yahuwah. And these are the ones in which he reveals deep things too. 1 Corinthians, the first chapter. 1 Corinthians, the first chapter, verses 18 through 31. Indeed, we've already read it, but I'm going to read it again. 1 Corinthians, the first chapter, verses 18 through 31, beginning at verse 18. For the word of the stake is indeed foolishness to those who are perishing. But to those who are being delivered, it is the power of Alahym. For it has been written, I shall destroy the chakma of the kakum, and set aside and put aside the learning of the learned ones. Where is the kakum? Where is the scholar? Where is the debater of this age? Has not Alahym made foolish the chakma of this world? For since in the chakma of Alahym, the world through chakma did not know Alahym, it pleased Alahym through the foolishness of preaching to save those who believe. And since Yahudim ask a sign, and Greeks seek wisdom, seek chakma, yet we proclaim Mashiach impaled, to the Yahudim a stumbling block, and to the Greeks foolishness. But to those who are called, both Yahudim and Greeks, Mashiach, the power of Alahym, and the chakma of Alahym. For the foolishness of Alahym is more chakam than men, and the weakness of Alahym is stronger than men. For look at your calling, brothers, that there were not many chakam according to the flesh. I can raise my hand. That's me. That's me. For look at your calling, brothers. There were not many chakam according to the flesh. Oh, that's me. That's me. Not many mighty. That's me. Not many noble. That's me. But Alahym has chosen the foolish matters of the world to put to shame the chakam. And Alahym has chosen the weak of the world to put to shame the strong. And Alahym has chosen the lowborn of the world. Indeed, that is me. And the despised, that's me. And the ones that are not, that's me. That he might bring to naught the ones that are, so that no flesh should boast in his presence. And of him you are in Mashiach Yahusha, who became for us chakma from Alahym, righteousness also, and our separateness and redemption, that, as it has been written, he who boasts, let him boast in Yahuwah. Let him boast in Yahuwah. So Abba does not want us, he does not want us overly concerned or wrapped up in the deep things. He simply wants us to walk the ancient path. To simply walk the ancient path. Those deep things. If it is a deep matter, the Torah is very deep. Yes, it is. There is much hidden in the Torah. And if we simply drink upon it as newborn babes, he'll reveal those deep things to us. He'll reveal them to us because he wants us to know them. Those who are babes. But those who are simply seeking the deep things so that they can have a platform, they are missing the point. They're missing the point. It is the ancient path. This is the only path, the narrow path. This is the only path that leads to life. This is the only path that leads to life. And it's very narrow. It's very narrow. And the longer we walk this path, the narrower it's going to become. And the narrower it gets. And so indeed, now we're on part 4. Last week or last 4th day, we spoke about Ruach or Abba, forgive me. Abba spoke about Methuselah and Ruach. He showed us an example through them of how to walk the ancient path by the example of Ruach and Methuselah. Methuselah and Ruach. This week, he wants to show us an example of walking the ancient path, and perhaps even the 4th day and continuing in this and completing it. He wants us to show the example of how to walk the ancient path through the eyes of Abraham, by the example of our righteous father, Abraham. And so in beginning this journey, and it's going to be an extensive journey. It's going to be an extensive journey. In beginning this journey, Mashpaka, let's turn to his birth. Let's turn to the birth of Abraham, and let's turn to the book of Yashar chapter 7. Yashar chapter 7. Let's turn to the book of Yashar chapter 7. Yashar chapter 7. Jasher chapter 7. If you don't have a Safar or a Sefer, I think that you can pull this up in a PDF via Google. I'm pretty sure. I've never tried. I have the Sefer, and I also have it in hard copy. But I'm certain, I can't be certain because I've never tried. I think that you can pull this up via PDF, via Google, if you don't have a hard copy of the book of Yashar. And we're going to read chapter 7, from chapter 7, and we're only going to read in chapter 7, verses 49 through 51. Verses 49 through 51. Beginning at verse 49. And Turah, the son of Nachor, prince of Namrud's host, was in those days very great in the sight of the Malach and his subjects. And the Malach and princes loved him. It's interesting that our righteous father, and as we're going to read, his walked the earth during the time of that wicked sovereign Namrud. And he fought against him. It's also interesting and not a coincidence that his end time remnant is also going to walk during the time of Namrud when the beast comes up out of the pit. And we're also going to fight against him. Yes, we are. Yes, we are. And the Malach and the princes loved him, and they elevated him very high. And Turah took a woman, and her name was Amthalu, the daughter of Kornabu. And the woman of Turah conceived and bore him a son in those days. Turah was 70 years old when he begot him. Turah was 70 years old when he begot him. Do not think that this is a coincidence that Turah was 70 years old when he begot Abraham, because Abraham is the father of many nations. Yes, he is. There are 70 nations on the tablets of Shamayim. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. And all who are seed of Ishkak, who were born not of flesh and blood, but are born of root, irrespective of what nation that they're in, are seed of Abraham. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I had to speak that because it's here. Turah was 70 years old when he begot him. And Turah called the name of his son that was born to him Abram, because the Malach had raised him in those days and dignified him above all his princes that were with him. Turn now to the next chapter, Yashar, chapter 8. Yashar, chapter 8. And we'll read verses 1 through 11. 1 through 11. Barak Yahuwah. Barak Yahuwah. We must be born of the Ruach in order to be a son of Abraham, a descendant of Abraham. Abraham was not born of flesh and of blood. He was born of Ruach. Yes, he was. Yes, he was. His descendants are not born of flesh and blood. This is why Yahushua, when speaking to the Pharisees, told them that if Abraham were your father, you would not be trying to kill me. Indeed, anyone born of Ruach will understand when the Ruach is in another person and that person is speaking under the inspiration of the Ruach. The Ruach in them will bear witness to that person. Yes, it will. Yes, he will. But because they did not have the Ruach, they did not understand that the Mashiach, that the living Alahym, was standing in front of them. And they desired to kill him. They desired to kill him. And thus he said, if Abraham were your father, you would be not trying to kill me. Your father is the devil. Indeed, all of those not born of Ruach are children of the devil. They are still in prison. They're still prisoners of their flesh. They're still prisoners of their flesh. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. Beginning at verse 1. And it was in the night that Abram was born, that all the servants of Turah and all the cocker men of Namrud and his conjurers came and ate and drank in the house of Turah. And they celebrated with him on that night. And when all the cocker men and conjurers went out from the house of Turah, they lifted up their eyes toward Shamayim that night to look at the stars, at the Kukabim. And they saw, and behold, one very large star, one very large star, one very large Kukabim. Kukabim, one very large Kukabim. Kukub, one large Kukub star. This denotes, when we look at Kukub here, or star, this denotes rulership. This denotes principality or prince. This denotes rulership here. Pray that you understand what Yasha'al means. Prince of Alahym. Rule with Alahym. This is what it means. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Yasha'un. Upright one of Alahym. And behold, one very large star, Kukub, came into the east and ran in the Shamayim. And he swallowed up the 4 Kukabim of stars from the 4 sides of the Shamayim, from the 4 corners of the earth. From the 4 corners of the earth, this one star, Kukabim, swallowed up 4 stars, or the 4 corners of the Shamayim, And all the cocker men of the Malach and his conjurers were astonished at the sight. And the sages understood this matter. They understood part of it. They didn't understand it in fullness. And they knew its import. And they said to each other, this only betokens the child that has been born to Turah this night, who will grow up and be fruitful and multiply and possess all the earth. All the earth. Indeed, Kukabim, as spoken, also denotes rulership. It also denotes principality. Do you not know, in the words of Sha'al, that we will judge the messengers? Do you not know that we will judge the world? If you don't understand this, you're in the wrong place. If you don't understand that through the Hamashiach and through his righteous people, Yasha'al, that the rulership of the earth is being restored to Adam, it is being restored to him, then you're in the wrong place. and you're on the wrong walk. You're on the wrong walk. You still have a Christian understanding. And they said to each other, this only betokens the child that has been born to Turah this night, who will grow up and be fruitful and multiply and possess all the earth. Indeed, this is what's being restored through his people, Yahshua, the descendants of Abraham, who will judge messengers, who will judge Kukabim. He and his children forever. He and his children forever. Let me read that again. Who will grow up and be fruitful and multiply and possess all the earth. He and his seed, he and his children forever. Forever. This is what's being restored to us. Our rightful place as rulers of this earth. Through his righteous seed, Yahshua, which means to rule with Alahym. This is what is being restored. Those whom the ancient path was revealed to. You see, even our ancient fathers, if you can understand this, even our ancient fathers are Yahshua. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. I know Yahshua began with Yaqub, but if you understand and if you read the book of Canuk, when it talks about the white bulls, and then when it begins with Yaqub, and at Yaqub it begins to talk about white sheep. You see, even Abraham was a white bull. And it talks about in the end where the white bulls are what? Going to be placed with the white sheep. And they're going to become one. One flock, one herd. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. So even them are Yahshua. Even they are going to rule. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. Yahshua is simply the people, the collective people whom he has called, in which he is reestablishing the rulership of the earth through. And in which he is reconciling the remnant of mankind back to covenant with him through. Yes, we are. Yes, we are. Who will grow up and be fruitful and multiply and possess all the earth. He and his children forever. And so we are the people whom the ancient path has been revealed to. Yes, we are. Yes, we are. It was given to Adam. It was then passed to his son Self, firstly to Habal, then to Self, then to Canaan, then to Anush, and all through the generations till we get to Canuk, and then Methuselah, and then Noach, and then Sham, and then Eber or Abba, and then Abraham, and then Ishkak, and then Yaqub. Yes, it was. The ancient path was revealed to us. The Torah was given to us. And the people of whom the Torah was given to, of whom the ancient path has been revealed to, who are going to enter into life, are going to rule the Arats, are going to once again rule the earth with our ancient fathers, beginning with Adam. Yes, we are. Yes, we are. Provided that you understand that the ancient path is the narrow path, and it is the only way, the only path that leads to life. Barak Yahuwah. And he and his seed will slay great Malachim, will slay great kings, and inherit their lands. And the conquer men and conjurers went home that night. And in the morning all these wise men, conquer men and conjurers, rose up early and assembled in an appointed house. And they spoke and said to each other, behold, the sight that we saw last night is hidden from the Malach. It has not been made known to him. And should this thing get known to the Malach in the latter days, he will say to us, why have you concealed this matter from me? And then we shall suffer death. Therefore, now let us go and tell the Malach the sight which we saw, and the interpretation thereof, and we shall then remain clear. And they did so, and they all went to the Malach, which is to say sovereign, a king, and bowed down to him to the ground. And they said, may the Malach live, may the Malach live. We heard that a son was born to Turah, the son of Nachor, the prince of your host. And we yesternight came to his house, and we ate and drank and celebrated with him that night. And when your servants went out from the house of Turah to go to our respective homes to abide there for the night, we lifted up our eyes to Shamayim, and we saw a great cuckoo. We saw a great cuckoo. Now, this is not the star of Malak that's represented on a Jewish flag. This is not the star of Malak that is shown on a Jewish flag. Indeed, we are that star. We are that star. But we are not represented on some Jewish flag. We're not represented on some Jewish flag. Indeed, we are represented in Shamayim. We are represented in Shamayim. Yes, we are. Yes, we are. Because if we have been reborn of Ruach, then we are seated in places in Shamayim with Hamashiach. Yes, we are. Yes, we are. And we saw a great cuckoo coming from the east. And the same star ran with great speed. Indeed, Yahusha is called what? It's called what? He's called the bright morning star. He is called the bright morning star. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. He is called the bright morning star. And this bright morning star is coming back to judge the nations. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. This bright morning star is coming back to judge the nations. But as he is the bright morning star, it is written that those who are his are going to what? Shine brighter than the stars. Shine brighter than the kukabim. Our faces are going to shine like the sun. That's in the text. It's in the text. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. So it reads here, and we saw a great star coming from the east, and the same star ran with great speed and swallowed up four great stars from the four sides of the Shamayim, from the four corners of the Shamayim. From the four corners of the Shamayim. He's going to use his people as a conquering people. It's in the text. It's written. He's going to use his people as a conquering people, as a Shabbat, as a punishing rod, as an instrument of war, to subdue nations, to subdue kings, to subdue Malachim, sovereigns, and to bring them under the bond of the covenant and rule and rule them with a rod of iron. It's written. It's in the text. Yes, it is. And rule them with a rod of iron. This is what he wants to do with his people, the seed, the descendants of Abraham. And your servants were astonished at the sight which we saw, and were greatly terrified. And we made our judgment upon the sight, and knew by our chakma the proper interpretation thereof, that this thing applies to the child that is born to Turah, who will grow up and multiply greatly, and become powerful, and kill all, listen, and kill all the Malachim of the earth. And kill all the Malachim of the earth. This is alluding to his seed, to the children of Yasha'al, not born of flesh and blood, but of Ruach. Those whom he is preparing in this season, who have come back to the ancient path, who are walking the ancient path, whom he is preparing to receive his very bright nature. To receive his very bright nature. I wish there were more I could tell you, but he's not allowing me to tell you right now. I pray that soon he allows me to tell you. Who will grow up and multiply greatly and become powerful and kill all the Malachim of the earth and inherit all their lands. He and his seed forever. He and his seed forever. Barak Yahuwah. Barak Yahuwah. He and his righteous seed forever. Indeed, only the righteous are going to inherit. Only the righteous are going to enter into life. Who are the righteous? Those who walk the ancient path. Those who walk the ancient path of Torah. Who walk the ancient path of Torah. Indeed, Torah is our righteousness. Torah is Yahuwah. Yahuwah Zadakanu. If we walk closely knitted and closely joined to it, we will inherit this earth and all the lands of the earth forever. Forever. Barak Yahuwah. Yes, we will. Turn now to Yeshar. Actually, we're still in chapter 8. Still in chapter 8. I'm going to move down to verses 35 and 36. Verses 35 and 36. Let me know when it's 3:55. All right. Verses 35 and 36. And Turah took Abram his son secretly, together with his mother and nurse. And he concealed them in a cave. And he brought them their provisions monthly. Now he did this. I didn't read the rest, and you can go back and read this on your own. He did this because Namrud wanted to kill him. Namrud wanted to kill him. And so Turah, not wanting to slay his son, hid him in a cave. Hid him in a cave. If you don't understand, when the beast who was and was not and is coming up out of the pit, who has recovered from a deadly wound, indeed Namrud was beheaded on some accounts by Esau and other accounts by Shem. If you don't understand that the beast is going to persecute the Kadosh ones, he's going to go after them and persecute the Kadosh ones, except for the remnant who in Revelation 12 or Kazum 12, who are going to be hidden, who are going to be brought into the wilderness for 3.5 years, away from the hand and away from the eyes of the serpent, hidden. If you don't understand how this applies to the seed of Abraham, to the remnant, I don't know what else to tell you. I don't know what else to tell you. But there is nothing new under the sun. As Abraham was hidden from Namrud, as he was hidden from him for a season, his remnant in this season are going to be hidden from Namrud. But it is also my belief, it is also my strong, firm belief that his remnant, that his people are also going to fight against Namrud. Now that is not to say that only his remnant, and when I say remnant, I'm speaking to 144,000. That is not to say that only his remnant are seed of Abraham, because there are many seed of Abraham who are going to come out of the great distress, having washed their clothes. Having washed their clothes and become clean in the fires of the great distress. There are many. In fact, Revelation 7, the Kazum 7, says a great multitude is going to come out from the great distress, having washed their robes. Having washed their robes. But I'm talking about here a remnant. A remnant, because if you don't understand, Abraham was remnant. Yes, he was. Abraham was remnant. There was none like Abraham on the face of the earth when he walked this earth. There was none like him. In all the earth, there was none like him. No, there wasn't. No, there wasn't. There was none like him. He was a remnant. He was remnant. No different than Noah, no different than Methuselah, no different than Canuk. All these righteous men were remnant. All of them were remnant. And he was remnant, and he was hidden from the hand of Namrud for a season, so that he would live. So that he would live. There is nothing new under the sun. This is going to happen again for 3.5 years. It's going to happen again. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. It's in the text. Kazon, Revelation 12. It's in the text. Reading here now verses 8, 35 through 36. And Turah took Abram, his son, secretly. Oh, I pray that you understand what it means to be remnant. Remnant, his remnant people walk the ancient path. Just like our remnant ancestors' fathers walked the ancient path without turning to the right or to the left. This is the remnant. This is the remnant. The remnant will walk the ancient path and turn neither to the right or to the left of it. Yes, they will. Yes, they will. And they will not compromise it. They will not compromise the ancient path. No, they won't. No, they won't. Not even under pain of death will they compromise the ancient path. No, they won't. No, they won't. And Turah took Abram, his son, secretly together with his mother and nurse, and he concealed them in a cave, and he brought them their provisions monthly. And Yahuwah was with Abram in the cave, and he grew up. And Abram was in the cave 10 years. And the Malach and his princes, soothsayers and sages, thought that the Malach had killed Abram. Thought that the Malach had killed Abram. Now there's another part that I didn't read. Was Turah, instead of bringing Abram to this wicked king Namrud, and I encourage you to read that to kind of get somewhat of an understanding how wicked Namrud was and how wicked Namrud is, to kind of get an understanding of how wicked and how cruel the beast is when he comes up out of the pit. I encourage you to read that. But instead of bringing Abram to the Malach, he brought one of his servants' children to the Malach. And when he brought him to him, this wicked king, without any remorse, without any soul, without any nefesh. He picked this baby up and smashed him against the ground and killed him. Now it takes a wicked man to do that. It takes a nefeshless man to do something like that. We don't even understand the level of wickedness that is coming upon this earth. We have no clue the level of wickedness that courses through the vein of Namrud. Indeed, when he is resurrected, when this beast comes up out of the pit, Hashatan himself is going to inhabit this man. And an era of wickedness, unlike this earth has ever seen, is coming upon this earth. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Turn, Ms. Paco, real quickly. Actually, yeah, turn real quickly. We got 5 minutes. 5 minutes. Turn real quickly to Yashar chapter 9. Yashar chapter 9. Turn real quickly to Yashar chapter 9. And I'm going to read verses 1 through 11. And then we're going to stop this for the 9th hour offering. For the 9th hour offering. Barak Yahuwah. Yashar Jasher chapter 9 verses 1 through 11. And we'll continue in this walk of the ancient path, looking at the example of Abraham. Looking at the example of Abraham. Barak Yahuwah. If we have been reborn as sons and children of Abraham, we have been reborn in a like manner in which Abraham has been born. Yes, we have. Yes, we have. We spoke about this briefly about Ruach. But we have been reborn in a like manner. Now, as children of Abraham, yes, we are going to conquer Malaks. We're going to conquer kings. And we're going to judge messengers. And we're going to judge the world. And the rulership of the world is going to be restored to us. And we're going to rule with Yahuwah. As the name Yashar indicates, rule with Alahym. Let's look at Yashar chapter 9, verse 1 through 11 real quickly. And Haran, the son of Turah, Abram's oldest brother, took a woman in those days. Haran was 39 years old when he took her. And the woman of Haran conceived and bore a son, and he called his name Lut. And she conceived again and bore a daughter, and she called her name Milcah. And she again conceived and bore a daughter, and she called her name Sharai. Haran was 42 years old when he begot Sharai, which was in the 10th year of the life of Abram. And in those days, Abram and his mother and nurse went out from the cave, as the Malak and his subjects had forgotten the affair of Abram. And when Abram came out from the cave, listen, he went to Ruach. He went to Ruach and his son Shem. Why? To learn the ancient path. To learn the ancient path from our ancient righteous fathers in order to walk in it. In order to walk in the ancient path. And when Abram came out from the cave, he went to Ruach and his son Shem. And so if we're not somewhere where we're learning the ancient path, where the ancient path is not being taught, then you need to run. For those who are listening via YouTube, if you're not being taught the ancient path, you need to run from that place. You need to run from that place. Because the ancient path is the only path that leads to everlasting life. Abram came out from that cave and he went to Ruach and his son Shem. And he remained with them to learn, listen, to learn the instruction. The Torah means instruction. Turah means instructions. To learn the Torah of Yahuwah and his ways, and his ways, and his darak, and his ways, and his path, and the ancient path. He went to them to learn the ancient path. And no man knew what Abram was. And Abram served Ruach and Shem, his son, for a long time. Indeed, we're servants. Yes, we are. Yes, we are. This is one of the first examples that he was a servant. As we are to be servants, as Abba has taught us, that only through servanthood, will we enter into eternal life. Because in order to walk this ancient path, we must be servants. How? We must submit as a servant and obey Torah. We must be servants and submit. And we cannot obey Torah without submitting and without becoming servants. And if we do this, in due season, guess what? We're going to be exalted once again as rulers of the Arats. As rulers of the Arats. So here's the first example. He was a servant. He was a servant. And so must we be. We must be servants. We must be servants. So I'm going to read this again. And when Abram came out from the cave, he went to Ruach and his son Shem, and remained with them to learn the instruction, the Turah of Yahuwah and his ways, the ancient path. And no man knew where Abram was. And Abram served Ruach and Shem, his son, for a long time. And Abram was in Ruach's house 39 years. 39 years. He was in no rush. He wasn't in no rush for a platform. He was in no rush to get a YouTube channel or go to Facebook Live because you think Abba has shown you something deep. He was in that house for 39 years, sucking on the life-giving milk of the Torah, learning the ancient path. Listen, and Abram knew Yahuwah. How did he know Yahuwah? Because he learned Torah. If you know Torah, you know Yahuwah. Because Torah is the nature and character of Yahuwah. It is his very heart. It is his very mind. If we know Torah, if we know the ancient path, then we also know the Ancient of Days. Because he is Torah. I hear you. I hear you. Oh, goodness. Oh, goodness.
It is time.
Oh, goodness. Barak Yahuwah. Barak Yahuwah. All right. I'm going to stop there, Ms. Parker. Barak Yahuwah. Barak Yahuwah. Barak Yahuwah. Let me stop right
Thank
here.
you, Abba.
Barak Yahuwah. Thank you, Abba. Thank you, Abba. I'm going to stop right there. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Can I read a scripture, Elder?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. Alahym 150. Praise all. Praise Yah. Praise all in his set-apart place. Praise him in his imminent space. Praise him for his mighty acts. Praise him according to his excellent greatness. Praise him with the blowing of the ram's horn. Come on, Yah.
My shofar.
Yes.
Barak Yahuwah.
Yes. Yes. Praise him.
Barak Yahuwah. Barak Yahuwah.
Praise him with the harp and lyre.
Yes.
Praise him with the tambourine and dance.
Yes.
Praise him with the tambourine and dance.
Yes. I see y'all dancing. Barak
Praise him
Yahuwah.
with the tambourine and dance.
Barak Yahuwah.
Yes. Praise him with the strange instruments and flutes.
Barak Yahuwah.
Yes.
Come on. Yes.
Praise him with sounding cymbals. Praise him with resounding cymbals. All that have breath, praise Yah.
Hallelujah. Praise Abba. Praise you, Abba. Praise Yahuwah. Praise Yahuwah.
Thank you, Abba.
Praise Yahuwah.
Yes, Abba.
Praise Yahuwah.
Yes, Abba.
Celebrate, oh Zion. Celebrate, oh Zion. Celebrate. Grab your staffs, O Zion. Our redemption draws nigh. Grab your staffs, O Zion. Grab your staffs, O Zion. Grab your staffs, O Zion. Our redemption draws nigh. Gird your loins, O Zion. Gird your loins, O Zion. Gird your loins, O Zion. Our redemption draws nigh. Lo, look, O Zion. Lo, look, our sovereign comes. Lo, look, O Zion. Lo, look, our sovereign comes. Oh, look, O Zion. Look, our sovereign comes. Look, O Zion. Look, our sovereign comes. Look up, O Zion. Look up, O Zion. Look up, O Zion. Our redemption draws nigh. Encourage yourself, O Zion. Encourage yourself, O Zion. Encourage yourself, O Zion. Our redemption draws nigh. So celebrate, O Zion. Celebrate, O Zion. Celebrate, O Zion. Our redemption draws nigh. Celebrate, O Zion. Celebrate, O Zion. Celebrate, O Zion. Our redemption draws nigh. How many of you excited? Barak Yahuwah. How many of you excited to go home? How many are excited to go home? Barak Yahuwah. Barak Yahuwah. How many are excited to see his face? Barak Yahuwah. 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 Barak Yahuwah.
Ready to go home?
Barak Yahuwah.
Yes, ready to go home.
Barak Yahuwah.
Thank you.
Barak Yahuwah. Barak Yahuwah. Who else has an offering, Mashpaka? Who else has an offering?
Thank you, Abba.
Barak Yahuwah.
Barak Yahuwah. Worthy is the Lamb who was slain. Kadosh is He. Sing a new song to Him who sits on heaven's mercy seat. Worthy is the Lamb who was slain. Kadosh, Kadosh is He. Sing a new song to Him who sits on heaven's mercy seat. Kadosh, Kadosh, worthy is Yahuwah Almighty, who was and is to come. With all creation I sing praise to the King of Kings. You are my everything, and I will adore you. Barak Yahuwah.
Barak Yahuwah.
Barak Yahuwah.
Barak Yahuwah. Barak Yahuwah. Barak Yahuwah. Who else has an offering, Ms. Parker?
Thank you,
Who
Abba.
else has an offering? Barak Yahuwah.
Thank you, Abba.
Barak Yahuwah.
Thank you, Abba.
Who else has an offering?
Thank you, Abba.
Yes, Abba.
Yahuwah, we call you. Who else has an offering, Ms. Parker? Barak Yahuwah.
Yes, Abba.
Ooh, sorry.
Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Let everything that has breath praise Yah. Let everything that has breath praise Yah. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Let everything that has breath praise Yah. Let everything that has breath praise Yah. Barak Yahuwah.
Barak Yahuwah. Barak Yahuwah. Barak Yahuwah. Barak Yahuwah. Who else has an offering for Abba? Who else has a pure? Barak Yahuwah.
Barak Yahuwah. Barak Yahuwah. Barak Yahuwah. Barak Yahuwah. Barak Yahuwah. Barak Yahuwah. Barak Yahuwah. Oh, Barak Yahuwah. We lift your name. Oh, we lift your name. We lift your name. Oh, we lift your name. We lift your name. Oh, we lift your name. We lift your name. Oh, we lift your name. Barak Yahuwah. Oh, Barak Yahuwah. Barak Yahuwah. Oh, Barak Yahuwah. We lift your name. Oh, your name. We won't profane all your Kadosh name. Barak Yahuwah, oh Barak Yahuwah, Barak Yahuwah, oh Barak Yahuwah, 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 Barak Yahuwah. We lift your name, oh, we lift your name. We lift your name, oh, we lift your name. Your Kadosh name, oh, your Kadosh name. We won't profane, oh, we won't profane. Barak Yahuwah, oh, Barak Yahuwah, Barak Yahuwah, oh, Barak Yahuwah, Barak Yahuwah, Barak Yahuwah, Barak Yahuwah, Barak Yahuwah. We lift your name, oh, we lift your name. We lift your name, oh, we lift your name. We won't profane all your Kadosh name. We lift your name, oh, we won't profane. Barak Yahuwah, oh, Barak Yahuwah, Barak Yahuwah, oh, Barak Yahuwah. We lift your name, oh, we lift your name. We lift your name, oh, we lift your name. Barak Yahusha, oh, Barak Yahusha, Bashem Yahusha, oh, Bashem Yahusha. We lift his name, oh, we lift his name. We lift his name, oh, we lift his name. Barak Yahuwah, Barak Yahuwah, Barak Yahuwah,
Barak Yahuwah. Barak Yahuwah.
Yes, Abba, we barak you. We barak you. Barak Yahuwah. Barak Yahuwah. Anyone else have a pure offering? Pure offering from the heart. Pure and undefiled. Pure offering. It's not a talent show. Doesn't matter how you sound. Doesn't matter how you sound. It's not a talent show. Anyone have a pure offering from the heart, pure and undefiled? If you have a pure offering, bring Abba his food. Bring him his food. Barak Yahuwah. Barak Yahuwah. He is the one that searches the heart. He goes to and fro looking for a heart that's perfect towards him. One can sound like Mariah Carey or some other secular artist and be on a broad road to destruction, but one with a pure, simple voice, giving him his praise from their heart, giving him his praise from their heart. This is the one he will receive. This is the one he will receive.
Well, I have a short song that I came up with. Well, I haven't. Yahuwah came up with the song.
Barak Yahuwah.
Okay. all esteem and praises to you, Yahuwah. All esteem and praises to you, Yahuwah. For it is all for you, none for me. We exalt your name, 'cause you are mighty. Above all thee is you. All acting and praises to you, Yahuwah. All acting and praises to you, Yahuwah. For it is all for you, none for me. We exalt your name, 'cause you are mighty. Above all thee is you. Looking back at my life today, I wonder how I made it through. Was in a world of crime and shame, nobody to fulfill my pain. But your grace and mercy, Yahuwah, that you restore a ranch like me. You washed me up and you changed my life, and now I'm singing all that things and praises to you, Yahuwah. All acting and praises to you, Yahuwah. For it is all for you, none for me. We exalt your name, 'cause you are mighty. Above all thee is you. All acting for mighty Yahuwah, mighty Yahuwah. 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 For it is all for you, none for me. We exalt your name, 'cause you are mighty. Above all thee is you. Barak Yahuwah.
Barak Yahuwah. Barak Yahuwah. Barak Yahuwah.
I have something, Mishpaka.
Yes.
Sorry. Okay. Abba gave this to me a while ago, and he just prompted me to sing it here, and I can't breathe. Okay. Abba, please don't forget me. Take me from this world. My bones are tired. My skin is thin. My soul longs to be home with you. Abba, I know you're there. I hear you in my heart. I know you love me. I see it in everything and everyone. Abba, please forgive me. Make my garment white. Please make me into your ever-waiting, loving, faithful bride. Abba, please don't forget me. Save me from this world. That's it. Barak Yahuwah.
Barak Yahuwah. Barak Yahuwah. Barak Yahuwah. Barak Yahuwah.
Yes.
Okay, I heard a song recently and I started to fall in love with it. I just want to sing a little excerpt. It starts, part of it is, you go before I know that you've even gone to win my war. Your love becomes my greatest defense. It leads me from the dry wilderness. And all I did was praise. And all I did was worship. And all I did was bow down to you. And all I did was stay still. Hallelujah, you have saved me. So much better your way. Hallelujah, you have saved me. It's so much better your way. That's all I want to say is better his way. Always.
Barak Yahuwah. In other words, better is the ancient path. That's the way. Barak Yahuwah.
Thank you, Abba.
Barak Yahuwah. Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. Barak Yahuwah. I love it. I love it.
Thank you, Abba.
Hallelujah. Thank you, Abba.
Yes.
Thank you, Abba.
Sound like you have a song in your Ruach, Naami.
I think I have a few.
Hallelujah. We place you at the highest places, for you are the great high priest. We place you high above no one else, as we bow to you and worship at your feet. We place you, hallelujah,
Barak Yahuwah.
at the highest place.
Yes, Abba.
Oh, you
Yes.
are the great high. We place you high above no one else, as we bow to you and worship at your feet. We place you at the highest place.
Yes, Abba.
Oh, you are the great high priest.
Yes, Abba.
We place you high above no one else,
That's right.
as we bow to you and worship at your feet. Hallelujah. We set you at the highest places, for you are the great high priest. We place you high above no one else, as we bow to you and worship at your feet. Thank you.
Barak Yahuwah. Barak Yahuwah. Barak Yahuwah.
Hallelujah.
Barak Yahuwah.
Can I request a song for my brother Eliyahu and Lil Miriam, please? If y'all don't would be so kind as to Barak Yahuwah with that marvelous song. Barak Yahuwah. Barak Yahuwah. Turah. Yep.
Kadosh, 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 Yahuwah Sabaoth, Malakal Ha'araz, Kabudu, Kabudu, Kadosh, 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 Yahuwah Sabaoth, Malakal Ha'araz, Kabudu, Kabudu, Kadosh, 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 Yahuwah Sabaoth, Malakal Ha'araz, Kabudu, Kabudu, Malali, Ruach HaKodesh, Malali, Ruach HaKodesh, Malali, Ruach HaKodesh, Malalanu, Malalanu, Kadosh, 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 Yahuwah Sabaoth, Malakal Ha'araz, Kabudu, Kabudu, Kadosh, 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 Yahuwah Sabaoth, Malakal Ha'araz, Kabudu, Kabudu, Kadosh, 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 Yahuwah Sabaoth, Malakal Ha'araz, Kabudu, Kabudu, Malali, Ruach HaKodesh, Malali, Ruach HaKodesh, Malali, Ruach HaKodesh, Malalanu, Malalanu, Kadosh, 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 Yahuwah Sabaoth, Malakal Ha'araz, Kabudu, Kabudu, Kadosh, 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 Yahuwah Sabaoth, Malakal Ha'araz, Kabudu, Kabudu, Kadosh, 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 Yahuwah Sabaoth, Malakal Ha'araz, Kabudu, Kabudu, Malali, Ruach HaKodesh, Malali, Ruach HaKodesh, Malali, Ruach HaKodesh, Malalanu, Malalanu, Halalu, Yahuwah, Halalu, Yahuwah, Halalu, Yahuwah, Halal Yahuwah, Halal Yahuwah, Barak Yahuwah, Barak Yahuwah. To the
Barak Yahuwah.
Hallelujah.
Mashpaka, it's very important that we be led by the Ruach in all things. We have to be led by the Ruach, even in praise and worship, in discerning the flow of things and discerning the flow of the Ruach. That was a very Ruach-filled song from the heart of Naami. Very Ruach-filled song that came from a heart, and it was pure, and it was an undefiled offering, a pure, undefiled offering. We have to understand and discern the move of the Ruach and move with Him, and not in accordance with our flesh. That's a beautiful song by our brother Al-Yahu. But in the words of Sha'al, he would rather speak one intelligible word than words that no one can understand. There are many in this assembly that don't speak one word of Hebrew. Not one word of Hebrew. And they did not understand, many did not understand a word that was sung. A word that was sung. We have to follow the Ruach and be sensitive to the Ruach. Be sensitive to the Ruach. It was not the time for that song after Naami sung that Ruach-filled song. It was not the time for that. We have to always follow the Ruach. Follow His way, where He leads us, and not in accordance to what we want and in accordance with our flesh. Those who are led by the Ruach. These are the sons and daughters of Yahuwah, who are led by the Ruach. Barak Yahuwah.
Barak Yahuwah.
Barak
And I
Yahuwah.
only sang it out because our brother Boosie
I know.
requested it.
I know it.
Barak Yahuwah.
Barak Yahuwah.
And I would ask you and Mariam, if for the sake of your mashpaka who don't speak Hebrew, who don't speak any Abba yet, if you in future times can kind of let them know what you're saying.
Barak Yahuwah. It's Yeshayahu 6, chapter 6, verse 3. Kadush, 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 Yahuwah, Sabaoth, which means...
I know what it means.
Yahuwah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I was speaking to the Mishpah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yahuwah, our righteousness. And Malakah Ha'aras Kabudu, let the entire earth be filled with your esteem.
Barak Yahuwah. Now you see how powerful that was when you said it in an intelligible language?
Barak Yahuwah.
Very powerful.
Barak Yahuwah.
Barak Yahuwah. Not that Abari is not an intelligible language, just that many here don't speak it and don't understand.
Yeah, that's why I haven't been singing it as often.
Barak Yahuwah. Praise Yah Abba for your sensitivity to his Ruach.
Barak Yahuwah. To the Abba.
Barak Yahuwah. Barak Yahuwah. All right, Ms. Parker, go ahead and mute your mics again. We stopped off at Jasher chapter 9. For the sake of unity, I'm going to start in the very beginning of verse 1 again of Jasher chapter 9. Beginning at verse 1, Jasher chapter 9, it reads, And Haran, the son of Turah, Abram's oldest brother, took a woman in those days. Haran was 39 years old when he took her. And the woman of Haran conceived and bore a son, and he called his name Lut. And she conceived again and bore a daughter, and she called her name Malka. And she again conceived and bore a daughter, and she called her name Sharai. And Haran was 42 years old when he begot Sharai, which was in the 10th year of the life of Abram. And in those days Abram and his mother and nurse went out from the cave, as the Malach and his subjects had forgotten the affair of Abram. And when Abram came out from the cave, he went to Nuach and his son Shem, and he remained with them to learn the instruction, the Torah of Yahuwah and his ways. And so as discussed before we went to our Nayflower offering, Abram went to them, went to the ancient fathers, and whom the ancient way was entrusted with. Indeed, the ancient path, the ancient way was entrusted with Adam. Adam taught the ancient path, the ancient way to his sons. His son taught it to his son. His son taught it to his son. His son taught it to his son. We get to Canuk. When we reach Canuk, Canuk was the first to write the instructions down. He was the first to write them down. Before Canuk, these instructions were verbally passed down. When we arrive at Canuk, this ancient way, this ancient path was first written down. Indeed, our ancient fathers, they read the instructions of Canuk, inclusive of Yaqub and inclusive of his 12 sons. They read the ancient instructions of Canuk, inclusive of our ancient ancestors who evolved or derived from the 12 sons. They all read the ancient instructions of Canuk because this indeed was Torah. This is instructions in righteousness. It was indeed Abba Yahuwah teaching the ancient path through the writings of Canuk. And so the ancient path is, as it alludes to, it is ancient. It is the word, the Abrahamic word for ancient is Alahym, which means eternity, which means to say beyond the vanishing point, to the point to where it's out of sight and out of mind, to the point to where it can no longer even be perceived. Indeed, the only thing that is ancient, the only thing that is eternal. I don't mean to say thing, because Abba Yahuwah is not a thing. He is our Eluah, but he is the only one who is eternal. He is the ancient path. He is the ancient Torah, which existed from the very beginning. And so this path, this way, Yahuwah revealing himself and revealing his ways to his children in the form of the ancient path, in the form of Torah. It began with Adam. It began with Adam, and it was passed from Adam to his sons and his grandsons and his great-grandsons and his great-great-grandsons until we arrive at Canuk and Methuselah. And Methuselah taught Nuach. Methuselah taught Nuach, and Nuach taught his sons. And the one that cleaved to Nuach, that cleaved to the instructions the most, was Shem. And so these very same instructions that were from the very beginning and were from before the very beginning, this ancient path was taught to our ancient fathers and then passed down. And Abram went to their house, to the house of Nuach and Shem. He went there, it says here, for a long time to learn the ancient path, to learn the ways, the path, the instruction of Yahuwah from those whom the ancient path was given to. And again, this ancient path was passed down through firstborn sons, through our fathers, until we arrive at Yaqub, whose name was changed to Yashar'al. Yes, the Torah was given to Yashar'al to do what? To be lights unto the nations, to be lights unto the Gentiles, to go forth into them and to teach them the ancient path so that they too will live, so that the remnant of mankind would be reconciled back to Yahuwah through his chosen people, Yashar'al, through his firstborn son. And it reads here, and Abram was in Nuach's house 39 years. And Abram knew Yahuwah from 3 years old. And Abram knew Yahuwah from 3 years old. Yes, he knew Yahuwah because Yahuwah spoke to him. Many in this assembly, I've talked to some. Yahuwah has been speaking to you your whole life. He began speaking to you when you were children because he chose you before you were placed in your mother's womb. Many he has chosen this way and been speaking to them their whole lives. And Abram knew Yahuwah. Not only did he know Yahuwah from the time that he was 3 years old, but he began to know Yahuwah even more as he began to learn the instructions of Yahuwah. Because Yahuwah is Torah. He is his instructions. Because Torah is the nature and character of Yahuwah. Torah is his very heart. Torah is his very mind. And so this is how we come to know Yahuwah, through his righteous Torah. And when Torah becomes written upon our hearts via his righteous Ruach, we then come into an intimate relationship with Yahuwah, with Torah being written on our hearts. And he went in the ways of Yahuwah. And he went in the ways of Yahuwah until the day of his death. Listen. I pray you're paying attention. And he walked in the ancient path. He walked in the ancient path of Yahuwah until the day of his death. And this is required of us from the day that we are reborn. From the day that we are reborn. Our blood is required of us. See, our blood is no longer on Abba's hands because he came and died for us. He came and shed his dung for us. And so now our dung is on our own head. We have no more excuses. We have no more excuses, especially for those who have been reborn. There is no excuse. There is no excuse for us not to walk the ancient path all our days until the day of our death. There is no more excuse. He's not taking any more excuses. Indeed, he's not taking any more excuses for any of mankind. There is no more excuse for mankind. He is taking away the excuse. He is taking away the barrier. He is taking away the partition. There is no more separation. There is no more excuse for any of mankind to not walk the ancient path. There is no excuse. He's not taking no excuses. And Abram knew Yahuwah from 3 years old, and he went in the ways in the ancient path of Yahuwah unto the day of his death. As Nuach and his son Sham had taught him, as Ruach and his son Sham had taught him. You see, they too walked in the ancient path of Yahuwah unto the day of their death. They neither turned to the right or to the left. Do you not understand that if you turn from the ancient path and turn into crime, all your righteousness is counted for nothing? All your right, the minute you turn from the ancient path and move to the broad path that leads to destruction, all your righteousness means nothing. By the same token, conversely, someone who is walking the broad path, but when he turns to the ancient path, all his wickedness is forgotten and thrown into the sea of forgiveness. And so we must remain in the ancient path until the day we die. Until the day we die, turning neither to the right or to the left, but staying in it until the day we die. If we leave it right before death, all that righteousness means nothing. This walk is serious, and it's very narrow. It's very narrow. This is in the text. This is in the book of YAHUAH'S. If a righteous one turns from righteousness to crime, then that righteousness means nothing. It means nothing. He will die in his crime. He will die in his crookedness because he turned from the ancient path. Yes, he will. But if a wicked one turns from the broad path, the Torahless path that leads to death, and turns to the ancient path, the narrow path that leads to life, he will live. He will live. And thus Yahuwah is preparing us to go to the nations, to proclaim to those who will walk in the broad path, to proclaim the message of repentance, so that they would turn from the broad path to the narrow path that leads to life, the ancient path that leads to life, as Ruach and his son Sham had taught him. And all the sons of the earth in those days greatly transgressed against Yahuwah. I told you there's always been just a remnant. There's always been just a remnant. There always will be just a remnant. There's always been just a remnant, just as there is a remnant even in this time, even in this season. And all the sons of the earth in those days greatly transgressed against Yahuwah. If you cannot see this with your eyes, that all of the sons of Yahuwah has transgressed against him in these days, then you're blind. Then you're blind if you cannot see it. If you cannot see it. And all the sons of the earth in those days greatly transgressed against Yahuwah. And they rebelled against him. And they served other Alahym. And they forgot Yahuwah, who had created them in the earth. And the inhabitants of the earth made unto themselves at that time every man his Alahym. Alahym of wood and stone, which could neither speak, hear, nor deliver. And the sons of men served them, and they became their Alahym. And the Malach and all his servants, and Turah with all his household, were then the first of those that served Alahym of wood and stone. And Turah had 12 Alahym. Indeed, it was Namrud who brought in the system of idolatry, who brought in Babylon. You see, that's what Babylon is. Babylon is not so much a physical place. It is a spiritual place. It is a system of idolatry that was not in the world until Namrud, the rebellious one, the 13th from Adam, instituted this system of idolatry in the world. And every society in the world is still worshiping this and still submitting to this system of idolatry where he is the one who is being worshipped. And Turah had 12 Alahym of large size, made of wood and stone, after the 12 months of the year. And he served each one monthly. And every month Turah would bring the meat offering and drink offering to his Alahym. Thus did Turah all his days, all the days. And all that generation were wicked. And all that generation were wicked. If you cannot understand that this is a wicked and perverse generation that we're living in, you're blind. You're blind and far from the truth. If you cannot understand that this is a wicked and perverse generation that we are living in, that is walking the broad path, the Torahless path that leads to destruction, and that there are very few in this season that are walking the narrow ancient path. Very few. But Yahuwah, through his servant, is calling his children back to the ancient path. Is calling his children back to the righteous path that leads to everlasting life. And all that generation were wicked in the sight of Yahuwah. Indeed, this generation is soon going to see just what Yahuwah thinks about them. They're soon going to see just what he feels, just how he feels about their wickedness and their Torahless ways. And they thus made every man his Alahym, but they forsook Yahuwah and had created them. And there was not a man found in those days in the whole earth who knew Yahuwah, for they served each man his own Alahym, except Nuach and his household. Except Nuach, and it's already been spoken that they walked the ancient path. Yes, they did. Yes, they did. They walked the ancient path. There was no one during this time in the whole earth that walked the ancient path. I pray you understand by now that there is nothing new under the sun, that there is only a small remnant that is walking the ancient path. And the longer you walk this ancient path, the narrower it gets. Indeed, as I spoke earlier, Abba wants to speak through me perhaps next week, Yahuwah willing, about Yom Kippurim, about the Day of Atonement, just to show how narrow this path is. Just to show how narrow this path is. Except Nuach and his household. And all those who were under his counsel knew Yahuwah in those days. They knew Yahuwah. Why did they know Yahuwah? Because they knew the Torah. They knew his instruction. And it's already been spoken that if you know the ancient path, if you walk the ancient path, if you know Torah, then you know Yahuwah. Because the Torah is his very character and nature. It is his very heart. It is his very mind. And Abram, the son of Turah, was working great in those days in the house of Nuach. And no man knew it. And Yahuwah was with him. And Yahuwah was with him. Now we're going to move to chapter 11. But I'm going to ask, tell you what, we're going to move to chapter 11. And I may end up asking some of you to help me read. Many times I don't ask you to help me read because when I'm reading, as I'm reading, and many times when I'm reading, Yahuwah, the Ruach, will speak to me in that very moment and give me revelation of something. And give me a revelation of what is being spoken right at that moment that he's never taught me before. He'll give me a revelation of it right at that moment. And so in many cases, this is why I prefer to read myself, because he speaks through me that way. He speaks to me that way. And it's harder if someone else is reading it. So turn to Jasher chapter 11. Yashar chapter 11. Yashar chapter 11. Beginning at verse 1. And Namrud, son of Cush, was still in the land of Shinar, and he reigned over it and dwelt there. And he built cities in the land of Shinar. Namrud is coming again. He is the beast. The whole world worships him. The whole world is worshiping the beast, irrespective of what religion they follow. They worship Namrud. They worship the beast. And ultimately, Hashatan is getting that worship through him. And this time is coming back upon the earth again, where he is going to physically be here. Verse 2. And these are the names of the 4 cities which he built. And he called their names after the occurrences that happened to them in building of the tower, in the building of the tower. And he called the first Babal, saying, because Yahuwah there confounded the language of the whole earth. And the name of the second he called Arak, because from there Alahym dispersed them. And the third he called Akkad, saying there was a great battle at that place. And the fourth he called Kalna, because his princes and mighty men were consumed there, and they vexed Yahuwah. They rebelled and transgressed against him. And when Namrud had built these cities in the land of Shinar, he built in them the remainder of his people, his princes and his mighty men that were left in his kingdom. And Namrud dwelt in Babal, and he there renewed his reign over the rest of his subjects. And he reigned securely, and the subjects and princes of Namrud called his name Amraphel, saying that at the tower his princes and men fell through his means. And notwithstanding this, Namrud did not return to Yahuwah, and he continued in wickedness and teaching wickedness to the sons of men. And Marduk, his son, was worse than his father, and continued to add to the abominations of his father. Indeed, he's coming back to do the same thing, to teach the sons of men wickedness in the person of the anti-Mashiach. He's coming back. He was the first anti-Mashiach who taught the world lawlessness, and he's going to be the last anti-Mashiach who teaches the world lawlessness. He is the man of lawlessness. And he calls the sons of men to commit crime. Therefore it is said, from the wicked goes forth wickedness. At that time there was war between the families of the children of Ham, as they were dwelling in the cities which they had built. And Kadullah Amar, Malak of Elam, went away from the families of the children of Ham. And he fought with them, and he subdued them. And he went to the 5 cities of the circle of the Yarden, and he fought against them, and he subdued them, and they were under his control. And they served him 12 years, and they gave him a yearly tax. At that time died Nachor, son of Sarug, in the 49th year of the life of Abram, son of Turah. And in the 50th year of the life of Abram, son of Turah, Abram came forth from the house of Ruach, and went to his father's house. And Abram knew Yahuwah, and he went in his ways and instructions. He walked in the ancient path. He walked in the ancient path. It says here, and he knew Yahuwah. Indeed, if anyone knows the Torah, then they know Yahuwah, because this is his character, this is his nature, this is his heart, this is his mind. And he went in the ways and instructions. He went in the ancient path. So it's been established now that Abram knew Yahuwah, and he walked in the ancient path. He walked in the instructions of Torah. He walked in Torah. And now let's pay attention to his walk. Let's pay attention to his walk. And let's allow Yahuwah to show us through the example of Abram what it looks like to walk the ancient path. What it looks like to walk the ancient path. And Yahuwah Aluha'iru, actually, Yahuwah Aluha'iu was with him. That is to say, his Alahym. And Turah, his father, was in those days still captain of the host of Malak Namrud. And he still followed strange Alahym. And Abram came to his father's house and saw 12 Alahym standing there in their haikals, which is to say their temples. And the anger of Abram was kindled when he saw these images in his father's house. Indeed, the adorer of his father's house was upon him. Yahusha, being a son of Abraham in the flesh, the adorer of his father's house was upon him. When he walked into that haikal, and saw the money changers and those exchanging monies and selling goods, the adorer of his father's house was upon him. He turned over tables and whipped them out of his father's haikal, out of his father's house. Indeed, this is what it looks like to walk the ancient path. Because of your mind, if your nefesh is wrapped up in the Torah, you cannot help for the adorer of your father's house to be upon you. And you cannot help to act in this manner. Especially if the Ruach, if the living Torah has entered you and has been written upon your heart. You cannot help it. You cannot help it. There's a fire in you. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yahu speaks of it this way. Oh, I wanted to be quiet, and I'm paraphrasing. I wanted to be quiet, but I just could not help myself, because his word is shut up in my bones. It is like a fire that is shut up in my bones, and I could not contain myself. Indeed, his Ruach is living fire. His Ruach is an eternal consuming fire. And if he dwells in us, if the living Torah dwells in us, then we cannot help for the adorer of our Father's house to be upon us. And we cannot but act this way. If you don't understand that the Ruach of Yahuwah was upon Abram, he was in him, and all of his sons are likewise have the Ruach of Yahuwah upon them. Because you cannot walk this ancient path without having the Ruach of Yahuwah in you, having had the Torah written upon your heart. You cannot walk this ancient path without him. You cannot. You cannot. Because those who walk in accordance to the Ruach are in no more obligation to walk the broad path that leads to destruction. They're under no more obligation to obey the wicked, sinful inclinations of their flesh. You cannot walk this ancient path without the indwelling of the Ruach HaKadosh, without having its instructions written upon the heart. And Abram came to his father's house and saw 12 Alahym standing there in their temples, in their high equals. And the anger of Abram was kindled when he saw these images in his father's house. And Abram said, as Yahuwah lives, are you listening to our righteous father? Are you listening? This is the ancient path. And Abram said, as Yahuwah lives, these images shall not remain in my father's house. So shall Yahuwah, who created me, do unto me, if 3 days' time I do not break them all. If I do not break them all. Indeed, we can break down idols. We can break down standing stones by speaking the Torah, by speaking the eternal word of Yahuwah. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. Is it not written that his word is like a fire? Is it not written that his word is like a hammer that shatters? We can speak it. We can speak the eternal word. We can speak the ancient path and tear down standing stones. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. And Abram said, as Yahuwah lives, these images shall not remain in my father's house. So shall Yahuwah who created me do unto me, if in 3 days' time I do not break them all. And Abram went from them, and his anger burned within him. Indeed, if you indeed walk in the ancient path, if the Ancient of Days indeed lives in you, then everybody around you who is walking a broad path ought to feel uncomfortable around you. They ought to feel real skirmish around you. They ought to feel real hot under the collar around you. If they don't feel this way, then you are not walking the ancient path. The Ancient of Days does not live in you. They ought to feel real uncomfortable around you. Yes, they ought to. Yes, they should. And Abram went from there, and his anger burned within him. And Abram hastened and went from the chamber to his father's outer court. And he found his father sitting in the court, and all his servants with him. And Abram came and sat before him. And Abram asked his father, saying, Father, tell me, where is Alahym, who created Shamayim and earth, and all the sons of men upon earth? And who created you and me? And Turah answered his son Abram and said, Behold, those who created us are all with us in the house. And Abram said to his father, My master, show them to me, I pray you. And Turah brought Abram into the chamber of the inner court. And Abram saw, and behold, the whole room was full of Alahym, of wood and stone, 12 great images, and others less than they without number. And Turah said to his son, Behold, these are they which made all of you see upon earth. These are they which made all you see upon earth, and which created me and you and all mankind. And Turah bowed down to his Alahym, and he then went away from them, and Abram his son went away with him. And when Abram had gone from them, he went to his mother and sat before her. And he said to his mother, Behold, my father has shown me those who made heaven, Shamayim, and earth, and all the sons of men. Now, therefore, hasten and fetch a kid from the flock, and make of it savory meat, that I might bring it to my father's Alahym as an offering for them to eat. Perhaps I may thereby become acceptable to them. Indeed, here is another trait. Here's another characteristic of our ancient father, of walking in the ancient path and that is Chachma. And that is Chachma. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Because the ancient path is Chachma. Yahuwah is Chachma. He is the Chachma that comes down from Shamayim. Torah is our Chachma. And so one who is operating in Torah cannot help but be Chacham. He cannot help but operate in the Chachma of Yahuwah Al Shaddai, because Torah is Yahuwah. And he can't help himself. Can't help himself. So he ought to be Chacham. He ought to operate in Chachma. Yes, he should. Yes, he should. And Turah bowed down. What verse did I leave off on? Verse 23. Verse 24. Now therefore hasten and fetch a kid from the flock, and make of it savory meat, that I may bring it to my father's Alahym as an offering to them to eat. Perhaps I may thereby become acceptable to them. And his mother did so. And she fetched a kid, and made savory meat thereof, and brought it to Abram. And Abram took the savory meat from his mother, and brought it before his father's Alahym. And he drew nigh to them, that they might eat. And Turah, his father, did not know it. Indeed, to add a little bit more context to that Chachma, you see Torah, which is the Chachma of Yahuwah Al Shaddai, it teaches us to separate the Chachma of Yahuwah from the earthly, sensual, demonic wisdom of man. And I purposely said wisdom, because wisdom is of the adversary. Wisdom derives from the word wizard, wise wizard. And so we don't operate in wisdom. We operate in Chachma. We operate in Chachma. But Torah, which is the Chachma of Yahuwah, teaches us to separate and divide the Chachma of Yahuwah from the earthly, sensual, demonic wisdom of man. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. And Abram saw on the day when he was sitting amongst them that they had no voice, no hearing, no motion. Not one of them could stretch forth his hand to eat. And Abram mocked them and said, surely the savory meat that I prepared has not pleased them. Or perhaps it was too little for them. Or for that reason, they would not eat. Therefore, tomorrow I will prepare fresh savory meat, better and more plentiful than this, in order that I may see the result. And it was on the next day that Abram directed his mother concerning the savory meat. And his mother rose and fetched 3 fine kids from the flock. And she made of them some excellent savory meat, such as her son was fond of. And she gave it to her son Abram. And Turah, his father, did not know of it. Verse 29. And Abram took the savory meat from his mother, and brought it before his father's Alahym into the chamber. And he came nigh unto them that they might eat. And he placed it before them. And Abram sat before them all day, thinking perhaps they might eat. And Abram viewed them, and behold, they had neither voice nor hearing, nor did one of them stretch forth his hand to eat, to the meat to eat. And in the evening of that day, in that house, Abram was clothed with the Ruach Alahym. Indeed, I've already told you that our righteous father had the Ruach of Yahuwah. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. And so does his children. So does his children. His children operate in the Ruach of Yahuwah. This is the only way possible for us to walk the ancient path. It's for the Ancient of Days. It's for the ancient path to be in us. We are to walk with him. We are to walk in him. Yes, we are. Yes, we are. To walk in him, to walk in the Ruach, is to walk the ancient path. We cannot walk the ancient path unless the ancient path is inside of us, unless the living Torah has been written upon our hearts. And in the evening of that day, in that house, Abram was clothed with the Ruach Alahym. And he called out and said, woe unto my father and this wicked generation, whose hearts are inclined to vanity, who serve these idols of wood and stone, which can neither eat, smell, hear, nor speak, who have mouths without speech, eyes without sight, ears without hearing, hands without feeling, and legs which cannot move. Like them are those that made them and that trust in them. And when Abram saw all these things, his anger was kindled against his father. And he hastened and took a hatchet in his hand, and came upon the chamber unto the chamber of the Alahym, and he broke all of his father's Alahym. Indeed, the ardor of his father's house was upon him. And this was no different than Yahusha turning over those tables and whipping those exchanges of money out of his ha'iko. Barak Yahuwah. And when he had done breaking the images, he placed the hatchet in the hand of the great Alahym, which was there before them. Indeed, as Abba has spoken, we ought to operate with Chachma. If we are operating and walking in the ancient path, Torah being our Chachma, in accordance with Dabarim, Deuteronomy, the 4th chapter, Torah is our Chachma and our understanding. And so if someone is walking the ancient path, then they ought to operate in Chachma. Yes, they ought to. Yes, they should. They ought to operate in Chachma, because Torah is the very Chachma of Yahuwah. And he went out, and Turah, his father, came home, for he had heard at the door the sound of the striking of the hatchet. So Turah came into the house to know what this was about. And Turah, having heard the noise of the hatchet in the room of images, ran to the room to the images, and he met Abram going out. And Turah entered the room and found all the idols fallen down and broken, and the hatchet in the hand of the largest, which was not broken. And the savory meat which Abram his son had made was still before them. And when Turah saw his anger was great, and when Turah saw this, his anger was greatly kindled, and he hastened and went from the room to Abram. And he found Abram his son still sitting in the house, and he said to him, "What is this work you have done to my Alahym?" And Abram answered Turah his father and said, "Not so, my master, for I brought savory meat before them. And when I came nigh to them with the meat that they might eat, that all at once stretched forth their hands to eat before the great one had put forth his hand to eat. And the large one saw their works that they did before him, and his anger was violently kindled against them. And he went and took the hatchet that was in the house and came to them and broke them all. And behold, the hatchet is yet in his hand, as you see." And Turah's anger was kindled against his son Abram when he spoke this. And Turah said to Abram his son in his anger, "What is this tale that you have told? You speak lies to me. Is there in these Alahym Ruach, soul or Nephash or power to do all you have told me? Are they not wood and stone, and have I not myself made them? And can you speak such lies, saying that the large Alahym that was with them smote them? It is you that did place the hatchet in his hands, and then say he smote them all." I just told you, Abba just spoke now, that to operate in Torah, to operate in the ancient path, means to operate what? In Chachma. In Chachma. Listen to the words of Abram. And Abram answered his father and said to him, "How can you then serve these idols in whom there is no power to do anything? Can those idols in which you trust deliver you? Can they hear your prayers when you call upon them? Can they deliver you from the hands of your enemies? Or will they fight your battles for you against your enemies, that you should serve wood and stone, which can neither speak nor hear? Indeed, to walk in the ancient path is to walk in Chachma." Yes, it is. Before I move on to verse 44, somebody turn real quickly, please, to Ishayahu, commonly called Isaiah. Ishayahu, chapter 11. And I think I want you to read down through verse 2 or 3. Someone turn real quickly to Ishayahu, chapter 11, and read Yashayahu, chapter 11, Isaiah, chapter 11. And I think I want you to read verses 1 through 3. Somebody turn there real quickly, please. Barak Yahuwah. Barak Yahuwah. I didn't mean to wake you up from your nap, much Papa.
Verses 1 through 3.
Yeah, I believe so. Uh-huh.
And a rod shall come forth from the stump of Yashar.
Mm-hmm.
A sprout from his roots shall bear fruit.
Mm-hmm.
The root of Yahuwah shall rest upon him.
The root of Yahuwah?
Yes, shall rest upon him.
Mm-hmm.
The root of Chachma.
The root of Chachma?
Chachma,
Mm-hmm.
in understanding.
Understanding.
The root of counsel.
The root of counsel. And what else?
Might.
Might. Mm-hmm.
The root of knowledge.
Root of knowledge.
And of the reverence of Yahuwah.
And of the reverence of Yahuwah. This is called the seventh Ruach of Yahuwah. It is really one root. It is really one root wrapped up all in the what's called the seven Ruach of Yahuwah. But he is Akkad. He only has one root. But if his root rests upon you, then all these things, you should operate in them. You should operate in them. Indeed, all of these are requisite of walking the ancient path, of walking in Torah, of walking in the way of the Ancient of Days, of walking in the Ancient of Days. So if you're truly operating in Ruach, which is the ancient path, which is the Ancient of Days, which is the living Torah, then you ought to operate in this. You ought to operate in the what's called the seventh Ruach of Yahuwah. You ought to operate in it as Abram demonstrates, as he demonstrates. If you are truly walking the ancient path. Now he's giving us an example here. If you're truly walking the ancient path, we ought to resemble our ancient fathers who walked the ancient path. Yes, we should. Yes, we should. And reading verse 43 again. And Abram answered his father and said to him, and how can you then serve these idols in whom there is no power to do anything? Can those idols in which you trust deliver you? Can they hear your prayers when you call upon them? Can they deliver you from the hands of your enemies? Or will they fight your battles for you against your enemies, that you should serve wood and stone, which can neither speak nor hear? And now surely it is not good for you, nor for the sons of men that are connected with you, to do these things. Are you so silly? Are you so silly? Another thing that walking the ancient path will do for us is that it will bring a boldness. It will bring a boldness to us. You cannot be, it is impossible to be timid and have the Ancient of Days living in you, the living Torah written upon your heart. It is impossible to be timid. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. It is impossible to be timid. You must be bold. You must be bold if the Ruach of Yahuwah rests in you, rests on you, and the Torah, the living Torah, has been written upon your heart. Are you so silly, so foolish, or so short of understanding that you will serve wood and stone and do after this manner? Now this is his father he is talking to. This is his father he is talking to. But the adorer of his father, Yahuwah, had overtaken him, had eaten him up, and had given him a boldness to even speak to his father this way. Verse 45, and forget Yahuwah Alahym, who made Shamayim and earth, and who created you in the earth, and thereby being a great evil, bring a great evil upon your souls in this matter by serving stone and wood. Did not our fathers in the days of old commit crime in this manner? And Yahuwah Alahym of the universe brought the waters of the flood upon them and destroyed the whole earth. And how can you continue to do this and serve Alahym of wood and stone, who cannot hear or speak or deliver you from oppression, thereby bringing down the anger of the Alahym of the universe upon you? Now therefore, my father, refrain from this, and bring not evil upon your soul and the souls of your household. Indeed, if you've been following along, Kanuk operated in the same Ruach. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. He operated in the same type of boldness, so that Nuach, so that Methuselah, so that Sham, so that Eber, so that Aber. Yes, they did. Yes, they did. This same type of boldness. This same type of boldness they operated in. because they operated in the same Ruach, and they all walked the ancient path. Yes, they did. Yes, they did. Now, therefore, my father, refrain from this, and bring not evil upon your soul and the souls of your household. And Abram hastened and sprang from before his father, and took the hatchet from his father's largest idol, with which Abram broke it and ran away. And Turah, seeing all that Abram had done, hastened to go from his house. And he went to the Malach, and he came before Namrud. Let me read this previous verse again, verse 49. And Abram hastened and sprang from his father, and took the hatchet from his father's idol, from his father's largest idol, with which Abram broke it and ran away. And Turah, seeing all that Abram had done, hastened to go from his house, and he went to the Malach, and he came before Namrud, and stood before him, and he bowed down to the Malach. And the Malach said, what do you want? What do you want? Indeed, if you're paying attention to what's being read, the words of the Hamashiach should be coming to life for you. When he says, if you do not hate mother or father, son or daughter, sister or brother, more than me, then you can't be my taught one. This is the ancient path. This is the ancient path, because if you're walking the ancient path is going to put you in direct opposition with all men. With all men. As it put Abram in direct opposition with his father. This should also bring to life the words of the Hamashiach when they spoke to him that his brothers and his mother were outside. And his words were, who is my mother? Who are my brothers? And pointing towards his taught ones, he said, look, there is my mother. These are my brothers. Those who hear the word of Alahym and do the word of Alahym, or those who do the will of my father. This is my mother and my brother. Indeed, this is also your father. It doesn't say it there, but this is also our fathers. This is also our fathers, our brothers and our sisters, our mother and our father, our sons and our daughters, even our sons and our daughters, are those who hear the word of Alahym and do it, and do it. And so as we see here now in the example of what we're getting ready to read about Turah, we're going to see these words come to life, because he's getting ready to turn in his own son. Indeed, the Hamashiach declared that in the last days that we were going to have to be careful how our son was going to betray father, and daughter was going to betray mother. Indeed, he goes on to say that we're not going to even be able to trust the wife who lays on our bosom. And so we can only trust those who do the will of Yahuwah, those who walk the ancient path, those who walk the ancient path. And as this time grows more and more wicked, and we're even at the door of judgment being pronounced, where judgment has already been pronounced, it just has not manifested yet. But as these things come upon the earth, and as the beast is revealed, you're not going to be able to trust anyone unless they are walking the ancient path. Only those who are walking the ancient path are those you're going to be able to trust. As we read here, we're getting ready to read how Turah is getting ready to turn in his own son. And I'm going to read this, and then I'm going to stop this. I'm going to stop this so as to break it up for the YouTube audience, so that it's not too long. Barak Yahuwah. So reading here, I'm going to start at verse 51. And he said, I beseech you, my master, and hear me. Now 50 years back, a child was born to me. And thus he done to my Alahym, and thus has he spoken. And now therefore, my master and Malach, send for him, that he may come before you, and judge him according to the law. Not Yahuwah's law, to the Torahless law, to lawlessness, to the law of the land. His own father betrayed him because he's walking in Torahlessness. You can't trust anyone who is walking in Torahlessness. Only those who are walking the ancient path. And so he is here showing himself that he's not Abram's father. He's not Abram's father. Only those who walk the ancient path are our relatives, that we may be delivered from this evil, from his evil. And the Malach sent 3 men of his servants, and they went and brought Abram before the Malach. And Namrud and all his princes and servants were that day sitting before him, and Turah sat also before them. And the Malach said to Abram, what is this that you have done to your father and to his Alahym? And Abram answered the Malach in the words that he spoke to his father. And he said, the large Alahym that was with them in the house did to them what you have heard. And the Malach said to Abram, had they power to speak and eat and do as you have said? And Abram answered the Malach, saying, and if there be no power in them, again, this is another characteristic of walking the ancient path, because it brings about a boldness. Because if you're truly walking the ancient path, then the ancient path lives in you. The Ancient of Days lives in you, and you can't help but have a boldness about you. And if there be no power, listen to Abram. Listen to Abram. And if there be no power in them, why do you serve them and cause the Son of Men to err through your fathers? Now he's talking to a giant. Namrud was a giant. He was a Nephilim. Yes, he was. We're not going to talk about that in this message, but yes, he was. Yes, he was. But he had no fear of this man. He had no fear of him. He was full of the Ruach of Yahuwah and walking in the ancient paths, and he had no fear of him. Verse 55, do you imagine that they can deliver you or do anything small or great? This is another characteristic of walking in boldness and not walking in fear. Of not walking in fear. Because if you're truly walking in the ancient path, you have nothing to fear. You have nothing to fear. Because if you're truly walking the ancient path, guess what? Yahuwah is going to fight for you. Yahuwah will fight for us. Yes, he will. Yes, he will. If we're truly walking the ancient path, and the ancient path lives in us, the Ancient of Days lives in us, the living Torah has been written upon our hearts, and that boldness and that lack of fear is in us, he will fight for us. Yes, he will. Yes, he will. But if you fear, he will not fight, because fear is not of him. Fear is not of him. And fear is not the ancient path. As we're seeing our righteous Father here, fear is not the ancient path. No, it isn't. No, it isn't. Fear is not the ancient path. Do you imagine that they can deliver you or do anything small or great, that you should serve them? And why will you not sense the Alahym of the whole universe, who created you and whose power it is to kill and keep alive? Listen, he's talking to a Nephilim. He's talking to the sovereign of the whole earth right now. Namrud. He's talking to the sovereign of the whole earth, who is a Nephilim, who is a giant. Listen to what he said. Our ancient father said, who is walking in the ancient path. Oh, foolish, simple, and ignorant Malach. Woe unto you forever. Woe unto you forever. Without fear, without hesitation, walk in the ancient path, being fully confident of who it is that dwells in him. I thought you would teach your servants the upright way, the Torah way, the ancient path, the ancient path. I thought you would teach your servants the upright way, because indeed Namrud began walking the ancient path. He began walking the ancient path that leads to everlasting life, because his father Cush taught it to him. And Cush's father Cum taught it to him, which was taught to Cum by Ruach. So Namrud was taught the ancient path. And for a little while he walked the ancient path, until he began to become puffed up just like his father Hashatan, and he forsook the ancient path. I thought you would teach your servants the upright path, but you have not done this, but have filled the whole earth with your crimes. But have filled the whole earth with your crimes. I pray that you're paying attention, because the whole earth is still filled with the crimes of Namrud. They're still filled with the crimes of Babylon. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. Oh, yes, it is. And they're still worshiping him. This is nothing new. They're still worshiping him. I thought you would teach your servants the upright way, but you have done this. But you have not done this, but have filled the whole earth with your crimes, with your Torahless way, with the broad path that leads to destruction. He is the lawless one. He is the man of lawlessness. He is the one that is teaching this broad Torahless path that leads to destruction. and the crimes of your people have followed your ways. This broad way, this broad path that was brought into the world by Namrud, were brought into the world after the flood through Namrud, have followed your ways, have followed this broad path, this broad Torahless path that leads to destruction. Do you not know, or have you not heard, that this evil which you do, our ancestors committed crime therein in the days of old, and the eternal Alahym brought the waters of the flood upon them and destroyed them all, and also destroyed the whole earth on their account? And you see, this is what we're going to have to go to the nations to proclaim, to teach them, those who have this boldness, who have the bright nature of Abram. We're going to have to do this very same thing in this season, to go and warn them of this very same pending destruction, and teach them the ancient path, the way everlasting that leads to life. And will you and your people rise up now and do like unto this work, in order to bring down the anger of Yahuwah, Alahym of the universe, and to bring evil upon you and the whole earth? Now therefore put away this evil deed which you do, and serve the Alahym of the universe, as your soul is in his hands. And then it will be well with you. And then it will be well with you. And if your wicked heart will not hearken to my words, I call your attention again. He's talking to the Malach of the whole earth. He's talking to the first anti-Mashiach and the last anti-Mashiach. He's talking to the Malach of the whole earth with boldness and without fear. This is another trait, a characteristic of walking the ancient path. And if your wicked heart will not hearken to my words, to cause you to forsake your evil ways, this broad path that leads to destruction, this Doerach way, road, this broad path that leads to destruction, and to serve the eternal Alahym, then you will die in the shame. Then you will die in shame in the latter days, you and your people, and all who are connected with you, hearing your words of walking in your evil ways. And if you can understand this, latter here, it means akarit in the Hebrew, in the Abraite. It means akarit. It means the end of days. It means the latter days, the end of days, akarit. And so our righteous Father here is talking about his demise. His demise. Yes, he was beheaded once. But the second time, he is going to be put to shame. He was put to shame the first time, but he is truly going to be put to shame where him and his vast army comes out to fight the Hamashiach when he returns. So latter days here means, it translates into akarit, which means the end of days, the latter days. And if your wicked heart would not hearken to my words, to cause you to forsake your evil ways and to serve the eternal Alahym, then you will die in shame. In the latter days. Akarit you mean latter days. You, your people, and all who are connected with you, hearing your words, are walking in your evil ways. I want to read this again, because this is very relevant to the time that we're living in, because all that are attached to the man of lawlessness, who take his mark, which is not so much a physical mark, but it's all about worship. It's all about walking this broad path, this Torahless path that leads to destruction. This is what this is about. So let me read verse 60 again. And if your wicked heart will not hearken to my words, to cause you to forsake your evil ways and to serve the eternal Alahym, then you will die in shame in the akarit you mean, the latter days. You, your people, and all who are connected with you, hearing your words, are walking in your evil ways. Indeed, the blood is going to run to the horse's bridle. There is going to be very few left. Only a remnant is going to be left when he finishes. Only a remnant is going to be left. There are many billions who are walking this broad path that leads to destruction, but very, very few who are walking the ancient path that leads to everlasting life. They're going to die. Many of them are going to die, And so we must continue to walk this ancient path and be wrapped up in the instruction of Yahuwah so that he can give us some of his bright nature, so that he can prepare us to go to them, to teach them the ancient paths so that they will live. So that they will live. And when Abram had ceased speaking before the Malach and princes, Abram lifted up his eyes to the Shamayim and he said, Yahuwah sees all the wicked and he will judge them. He will judge them. To my YouTube family, I'm going to stop right here and I'm going to start a part 4. I'm going to start a part 4 because I don't want these videos to be terribly too long, because no one wants to listen to a man yelling at them for 2.5 hours. And so I'm going to stop this and then we're going to begin a part 4. Barak Yahuwah. So until part 4 begins, if you're YouTube and you're not watching part 4, until then, Yahuwah barak you and guard you. Yahuwah make his face shine upon you and show favor to you. Yahuwah lift up his face upon you and give you shalom. Thus you shall put my name on the children of Yasharal, and I myself shall barak them. So be it, so be it, so be it.